It should be absolutely illegal for CPS to impose financial demands on families that have their children in state care for any length of time. Any demand that costs money should be covered by government or their agencies in such case, because the government has unlimited capacity to print and distribute money. Families that are in hardship do not need to be pushed deeper into expense or poverty. When my children were in state custody long ago, the agency would take nearly an entire paycheck from both me and my spouse at that time, each month. They also demanded the children not only have Medicaid, but separate health plans under each parent through our jobs. This added an extra $400 a month that was deducted from my spouse's check and expenses unnecessarily, where the children were already insured by my excellent health coverage with Aetna and by state Medicaid. It was entirely unnecessary and cost burdensome for our household to deal with that. After 18 months of that, we were left in financial ruin from missed work and credit debt that we incurred having to buy meals and other things on the fly that were not planned while visiting the children in state care and going to court every 3 weeks for 18 months. First, my mother-in-law at that time would make random purchases and demand reimbursement without consulting. And later, we were having to travel during rush hour to get to a child welfare office where we would meet with the children in a hot, dirty room. It was upwards of 90 degrees in there during the visitation hour. And we would only get to see them once a week. In foster care, they were confined nearly all day, every day, went home to a room without furniture where they slept on a dirty carpeted floor. They were scarcely given food. They were fed animal crackers and given water, and they were locked in a bedroom by the foster mother, who was also fostering 4 older children simultaneously, with strange men coming and going from the house that the children weren't familiar with. That was where social services left them. The agency placed them in a much worse material situation than where they took them from. They had beds at home, they had clothing, all their basic needs were met. One of the neighbors' houses, just 2 houses down from where the foster mother was keeping the children, burned to the ground. It's unclear if that was while the kids were staying there or just before they got there. We didn't know for a long time where they were at. We weren't allowed that information. What has been described to me by the children, who are now many, many years older, which they experienced in foster care years ago, as inhumane treatment and wrongful confinement. It is only after extensive discussions that I have learned of the agency's failures and transgressions. The agency caseworker and supervisor in charge of the case at that time were not held accountable. It is social services and CASA's job to ensure situations like that do not occur for children in state conservatorship. My youngest child was left in a dirty diaper so long by the foster mother that he required emergency medical care in one case for severe bleeding lesions during that 18-month time frame. This is some of the reasons why I advocate for the changes that I do, because there are grave injustices that are occurring against the same children that the state is taking and placing in those abusive situations. This is happening all across the United States. There are horror stories that are playing out across the U.S. And The state and its agencies seek to instill such fear against individuals that they have victimized so as to prevent them from speaking out. And I won't be cowed any longer. Things need to change. That's why I make these videos. That's why I write.